Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 1 of Peacock's Miss Davis, entitled Mother of Mercy, The Call of the Horse. I'm going to have to look at my notes when I read the episode titles every time, because every episode title for every episode so far has been long as fuck. I'm not going to be able to put the episode titles in the title of the video, because there's a character limit, so I can't even do it, but I first want to start by explaining my plan for these episodes, because this didn't work out the way I had planned. I was willing to cover Miss Davis, full coverage, sight unseen. Damon Lindelof is the co-creator on here. He's made Lost. He made one of the best shows ever, The Leftovers. He did the Watchmen, which I'm sure you all saw on HBO. I think it was 2019, I want to say. He did that. So this guy is a guy who has done enough great work that I'm willing to just assume the next thing is going to be great and commit to full coverage. But then Peacock was like, yeah, we're going to put 4 fucking episodes out on day 1. They're all going to be an hour, and the show is dense as fuck. So, like, it just really messed up my plan. So what I decided to do for coverage of Miss Davis, now that I finally have finished, well, not finished, but like got myself caught up, is I decided I would do videos for each of the first 4 episodes, but kind of like miniature videos. It's kind of like hitting certain plot points, hitting certain things that I notice, whether it might be a joke, it might be a shot, it might be a theme, it might be a concept, whatever. Little things that I notice, just general thoughts on each episode. 4 miniature videos, hopefully 10 minutes tops, and then I will pick up full coverage, regular in-depth analysis of the remaining 4 episodes, starting with the release of episode 5, which is coming out Thursday, April 27th. I don't know, it's currently April 26th. I don't know if that's going to be out at midnight or if that's going to be out at 3 a.m. If it's out at midnight, there's a strong fucking probability I'm going to watch it. If it's not out until 3 o'clock, Miss Davis will going to be part of the Thursday coverage regardless. It's going to be on Thursdays with, I cover Dave on Thursdays. That's going to be the Thursdays for the next 4 weeks at least. But yeah, it's just a matter of whether or not I'm going to watch it on Wednesday night or Thursday, finding time Thursday during the day. If it's the latter, then the video is going to be out obviously a little bit later in the day than it would be if I could have watched it tonight. So just wanted to get that out of the way. So let's get to talking about these 4 episodes. I got some thoughts. Starting with this one, episode 1. This episode is all over the place. I couldn't really like hone in on a tone or just get a general idea of what kind of show I was watching until the very end. And there's all sorts of weird shit going on this show. It's quirky, it's weird, it's funny, it's violent, it's deep. It metaphysical, fucking mind-blowing, weird shit, making you theological shit. Like, there's a lot going on here. So many different styles and tones. And, up front, it's got so much going on that how much it's got going on is how it differs from what I'm about to say. But by and large, this kind of feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie, just spread out into 8 episodes of television. Like, it has very big Tarantino vibes. But then you get some of the Lindelof stuff too, the stuff that you know is very much what he does. The other co-creator, Tara Hernandez, I think she does work. She worked on like CBS shit, like Big Bang Theory, stuff like that. You could see that comedy kind of come through too. So it's an interesting pairing of minds, and it makes for a weird but interesting product that in this episode, I watched it and I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'm in. So so let's take the opening sequence, for instance. It's 1307. You got the Knights Templar. There's someone being burned alive. And then this redhead leaves with this bowl that looks like a cup that's supposedly the Holy Grail. There's like this wildly violent scene in this, I guess, what I'm guessing is a convent, where like people come looking for the Knights Templar, thinking it's men, and it's all these women there, and it's decapitations. There's a super cool shot of like a woman who is impaled with a sword jumping into somebody else to stab them with the sword she's impaled with. Like that kind of shit. Tarantino type fucking violence, right? Then later we see some guy on an island. He gets saved by making a giant firework. His name is Schrodinger, and he has a cat. Like, quirky shit right there, right? The giant firework, Schrodinger's cat. Like, I feel like throughout my entire coverage of this show, I'm just gonna be pointing out random things that fit the descriptors I listed earlier, like quirky, weird, funny, deep, shit like that. Like, they're just like random things. Like, I thought this was interesting. That's quirky. Like, I feel like that's gonna be coming up throughout my coverage all of this season, because there's just things that seem weird that don't fit in at the time, but then maybe we learn about them later. I don't know. I'm ranting. So, the Schrodinger guy who is rescued, he's greeted by a Korean woman with an earpiece who tells him that in the 10 years he's been missing, an artificial intelligence was created that has essentially solved all of the world's problems. Everybody loves it. It's great. Nope. Everybody's cool. Nothing to worry about in this world. So that's where we end that scene. We then move to Reno, and we meet with Betty Gilpin's Simone character, Sister Simone. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. There's an elaborate magician scam where they're trying to rob a guy for $11,000, and it involves this fake decapitation, as Simone comes through on horseback, no less, to expose this scam. So you got your violence, the decapitation, you got the quirkiness of just how violent the scam is, juxtaposed to the high comedy levels that they try to do after they expose the scam. Like, she tries to like revive, like she's doing like CPR on this headless body, like that kind of shit. That's, again, violent, quirky. There we go. So not too far in this episode, you can already see all the different types of things this show's going for, right? So we also learn a few things about both Simone and the artificial intelligence of this episode. Like I said, I'm trying to like bust through these videos to get us caught up for episode 5. So I'm just going to kind of bullet point some of this stuff. For starters, most people refer to the artificial intelligence as she. Simone refers to it as it. We also see that Simone goes to some sort of restaurant, and that's where she's given these missions to expose these magicians. And she's giving these missions by some guy named Jay, who, my mistake for not looking him up, but I feel like I know that guy, this actor, from something else, but it escapes me at the moment. She eats the paper with the name of the person she's targeting for the mission, quirky, and also mentions that the algorithm killed her dad? How's that work? Also, why does she have to eat the paper? Questions that I'm fairly confident we'll get answers to later. But again, they could just be quirky for the sake of quirky, which I'm not necessarily opposed to that, as long as everything's not quirky for the sake of quirky. If there's just like things here or there that are quirky, but then other things that are quirky, but then they're explained, I'm cool with that. But are these things quirky for the sake of quirky, or are they going to have some sort of deeper meaning later? I'm interested to find out. There's also a door in this restaurant that she's not allowed into that supposedly contains the person or people who decide which scheming magicians she's going to expose next. Like, apparently whoever's behind that door gives the name to Jay, then Jay gives it to her, and she goes and does her thing. We also see that she is in fact a nun for real. Just like the promotional material shows. I thought maybe it might be like a costume or something that she wore, but no, she is a for real nun. She puts on a habit, heads to a convent. The convent's head nun is played by Margot Martindale of all people. Of course, she's in. Of course, just of course. We learned that the convent sells jam. I'm assuming just for funding, just so they could continue to exist. And as they're going to sell the jam, they get diverted off the road to buy shaved ice. Now, again, quirky, but this was my favorite part of the episode because this is where we learn just how powerful the algorithm is and just how willing people are to do what it says. So Simone is suspicious, and when they get to the shaved ice stand, she questions the owner about all the conveniently placed billboards in the middle of nowhere that's right on the path, and how there's a deal for that specific day that they're driving by, which is the day they go to deliver their jam. Like all these coincidences, right? So dude cops to working for the algorithm, of course. So the algorithm explodes their jam by having another of its minions like reflect sunlight with a giant fucking magnifying glass onto their glass jars. I mean, quirky as fuck. Like this felt like something out of Watchmen, which again, Watchmen was not a quirky show. Except for you had that motherfucker Slippery Lube man sliding into that sewer. Like, so it had shit like that. This felt very much like Slippery Lube man in Watchmen. The algorithm also makes it so that they have to sell their convent and move. They get $2,564 to cover expenses, which is a number that has meaning to Simone and clues her in that the algorithm is behind this. So we're gonna have to remember that number. Simone then goes to this buffet place instead of with the other nuns, and the algorithm talks to her through this family as a proxy. Like, so the algorithm talks in the earpiece to the family, and the family tells Simone what it says. And it's ordered to go to an owl room at an elementary school. Mysterious. Quirky. And then the episode closes with this kind of like miniature situation with these German guys. So while Simone's at the buffet, she's been complaining about wanting some more Swedish meatballs, and she gathers that the algorithm may be behind the delay on her Swedish meatballs. Quirky. She goes to the back and finds these German guys who look like they're tampering with the meatballs, and when they see her, they shoot her with a tranq dart and knock her out. Quirky. Like, why are they German? Whatever. They want to know why the algorithm wants to talk to her so badly, which she's been refusing to do for the entirety of the episode. That's why the family had to talk to her as proxy. She makes it very clear she doesn't speak to the algorithm. We saw it during the magician exposure scene at the beginning as well. She, of course, doesn't know why the algorithm wants to talk to her, but they tell her they have a bomb tied to her horse. She escapes using magic, of course, and is saved, because she'd already escaped, by a guy named Wiley who refers to her as Lizzie and not Simone. So we can gather that in a past life, she went by Lizzie. Now she goes by Simone. We learn this guy Wiley's part of an anti-algorithm resistance, and he believes the horse thing is a setup by the algorithm to get Simone to do what it wants. So he doesn't even think the bomb is real, and he pushes the detonator and explodes her horse by mistake. Quirky. So Simone goes back to the restaurant, the aforementioned one with Jay, where she gets the assignments, and she asks for a new assignment. And Jay reveals that the previous ticket he gave her, which was blank, actually wasn't blank, and that the ticket she was supposed to get was for the algorithm, and he didn't tell her because he was trying to protect her. And of course, Simone is all in on an algorithm destroying mission, so count her in. She eats the fucking paper, and she goes to the elementary school. She goes to the owl room, and she talks to a kindergarten teacher via proxy, and that's how she talks to the algorithm. And the algorithm, first she gets a gift. It's like it's a regular box. It's meant to be like, look magical. Of course, Simone figures out the twist. She cuts off this little virtually invisible string. There's a Queen of Hearts there, which has significance to Simone, but we don't find out what it is. And essentially the way this episode ends is that in exchange for finding the holy grail for the algorithm will shut itself down. So that's episode 1. That's all I got. I will see you guys for episode 2. Till then, peace.